Hello there, and welcome to The Gun Cranks. Was that professional, guys? Hey, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. I'm here with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale and our special assignments editor Roy Huntington. And as I said, this is another episode of The Gun Cranks. So trying to come up with a new opener every time, and it's hard to do. So if one of you guys wants to come up with something, I've been a Bad Penny. We've done Mickey Mouse Club and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, guys, how are you this week?
I'm peachy.
Peachy.
Peachy keen, exactly.
Roy's complaining about the weather, but
it's only 105 degrees here in Missouri, so
But Roy, it's a wet heat.
And, actually, for some bizarre reason, we were actually looking yesterday, and we had lower humidity than like Phoenix, and so. What was that about?
Well, our topic of the week, it was about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw, it was a terrible situation up in an Iowa State park where at this point, as we're recording this, I don't think they've really decided, but it appears that a knucklehead, for some reason, early on in the morning, walked up to another tent in the campground, fired a bunch of shots, killed a mom, dad, and a child. One other child survived, and then he walked out into the woods and shot himself. And what a horrible story. The family, from the news reports I've seen, seemed like just a great family, great kids, and not much has been released about the idiot with the firearm. But that brings a whole new line of discussion in. That's something that I've always been pretty passionate about, and I thought we'd bring it up for discussion today, and that is carrying while camping. I always carry when I'm camping, but it's not just as simple as saying I'm going to take a gun. So guys, probably need to carry your 6-inch 454 Casull, right? Because if you're in Iowa, you might run into a grizzly elk or Tyrannosaurus or something. But no, seriously, if you guys go camping, what kind of firepower you bring?
it depends on the hotel for me. If it's upscale, and
Tom, you're a
carry your
glamper,
luggage
aren't you?
for you, then. Sorry, Roy, go ahead.
Well, I first never violate rule 1 of a gunfight, which is have a gun. And so even if you have your .380 pocket gun, that's going to get you out of probably 99% that you're going to find yourself involved in, And if you're, as Brent says, someplace that there's some big 4-legged critter that you might have to deal with, well, then you have to take that into consideration. But I may go to federal prison by saying this, but yes, you need to pay attention to what are the laws concerning where you're going camping. But might I also add that that's also a personal decision that you have to make, if you get my drift. In other words, people go to malls, which are gun-free zones, and they get killed by bad guys with guns. And so, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that if you're going somewhere that says no guns allowed, you either have to decide to not go there, or make an adult decision about that. So,
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but that's just reality. Don't be a volunteered victim, period.
Yep.
Don't be politically
Brent,
correct. Don't be any of that.
Roy's retired, so he can say stuff like that. I think we're limited to don't go there.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
And also, but before I hand off, let me say one more thing, is that just because this happened, is we have to keep things into perspective, is that millions and millions of people go camping every year, and there are tens of millions of camping situations, and nothing bad happens. So it's like, don't stop going camping because one idiot did this one time. And so it's like airplanes crash, but we don't all not fly on airplanes. We know that it's balanced pretty in our favor, and camping's the same way. So, and the other thing I was thinking of, and Brent, you said you were going to add some feelings that you have, but I think if you're allowed to go camping with a dog, that's a very wise decision. Because dogs are the best little burglar alarms in the world. And if you're asleep in your tent at night and your dog is aware of someone outside, hopefully they'll let you know.
Let me release the curmudgeon within. I wrote in a column years ago that I love children, just not yours. So when you're in a campground, keep your damn dog and your children under control. Okay, there's old crotchety guys like me that are trying to go to bed at 9 o'clock, and you know, when little Timmy and little Susie come crashing through the bush and, hi, mister. Okay, you know, but anyway, that's an aside. But no, I've always carried when I camp. I will say one thing, that when you were talking, Roy, about making a personal decision, and I absolutely agree, but I will also say, if you're in a place where you can carry openly, I don't think you have to. Now, it's different in Alaska, where a walk to the privy could mean a charge from a grizzly. That's a different deal. But if I'm in an Indiana state park and, you know, open carry's allowed, I don't need to see your gun on your hip. All that does is upset people. And yes, you're within your rights. And that's what people always say. And something to think about is, when you're carrying open, how come it's always a guy carrying a low-end gun in a cheap, I won't use brand names, holster that he bought for $9.95 at Walmart? You never see guys carrying nice guns, okay? So don't be that guy. Just carry concealed, have a gun. That's the first rule of a gunfight. But you don't have to enforce your rights on everybody else. And I know we'll get some hate mail and hate comments on that. But you know what? Tough nugs. I don't care.
Okay, Brent. So, question for you. When you go camping, or, you know, out multi-day hunt or whatever, what is your primary reason, and I know it's all the above, but if you had to pick one, is it 4-legged or 2-legged?
2-legged.
Okay.
2-legged.
Even when I'm in the Smokies and there's a high chance of running into a bear. Actually, I wrote an insider several months ago about my friend Ken and I came around the corner on a trail and it's pouring rain, and there's a bear right there on his hind legs, and we both came out and drew down, and there was this tense moment. Time slowed down, and then we realized it was a rain-soaked stump. But hey, we had another situation like that with a wild turkey.
Did you kill it?
No, we didn't take the shot. I'm not sure the 9mm I was carrying would have stopped this chestnut stump. Another time, we were way back way back there on a trail on a backpack trip, and we're walking through, they call them laurel hells, and it's where they have rhododendrons, and they just form literally a tunnel. Visibility is measured in inches. We're walking through, not too worried, and all of a sudden, it sounded like a helicopter was cutting all this vegetation and flying out. It was a wild turkey. But we both drew down on the wild turkey because, those things can spur you pretty badly. But anyway. So,
turkeys.
Yes, 2-legged are my primary concern. 4-legged, and again, Alaska or maybe Yellowstone, where you got those big bears and stuff like that. That's a different deal altogether. But I figure even a black bear, I can take the edge off his appetite. With several rounds of 9mm. Typically, when I'm out, I carry a full-size 9 or a 45, and usually at least one full standard capacity magazine. And I figure if I have to shoot an animal like that, I'm going to shoot a lot and keep shooting until either I get et or he stops and decides that I'm not worth the trouble. The bigger problem when you're camping or hiking in general is how you're carrying. Because if you're carrying a pack, especially with a waist strap on the hip, carries not so good. Chest carry is great, but if you're talking concealed, that kind of limits your options. So anyway, I wanted to throw that out.
I think situational awareness is also really critical, because just because you're in the woods doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware of what's going on. And so I recall vividly one time I was camping in a relatively secluded area. It was a camping ground. And then this truck pulled up full of ne'er-do-wells, It's like green teeth, crystal methy kind of, And so I just packed my stuff up and left. It's like, use some good sense and discretion. And so if I don't care where you are, but if you're uncomfortable with what's going on wherever you're camping, especially if you're with your family, just leave.
I have a similar story. I was camping with my son. He was about 6 or 8, and same thing. We were it was early spring, so there wasn't a lot of people camping, and a truckload of green teeth meth heads show up and start making the noise, and the beer cans are flowing, and we got up and went to another state park, and my son's like, "What, Dad?" I said, "I don't want to be around those people. We're leaving." And we left, and they may have turned out to be great folks, but you know what? I'm not going to test the theory. So we had guns, but if you have to go to guns, that's a very last resort.
People always say that. It's like there's a contention that if you have to draw your gun, then you're failed, and I don't agree with that entirely, but I think there is a lot of times when guns come out when probably whoever was there, whatever was starting the situation, you could have been best defended just by leaving, but so what have we learned then? So keep some situational awareness. If you're a dad and a mom, teach your kids some situational awareness, I mean, if it's a thick woods and there are mountain lions in the area, the kids have to have enough sense to don't go in the thick woods over there.
Tom, how do you handle room service?
Room service I don't worry too much about. I mean, in spy novels you got to worry about the fake room service person, dressed up. I think Diamonds Are Forever had a classic, scene that we can all learn from there when the two assassins, came in with the flambe, Bombay or whatever it was,
I think Tom is like there's an old adage about if you're in the Air Force and you're out at nighttime in the woods and you look up and you see the stars, what do they think? They think, who stole my tent?
Wow.
Well, I actually used to do a lot of camping in my younger days, and then I discovered actual beds. So
and motorhomes. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right, sleeping in a mud hole is one of life's great. Never mind. Okay.
No.
Anyway, well, carry on, go camping, carry your guns, and have a great time in the outdoors. It's fantastic. So don't forget, leave us a comment, subscribe, tell us your favorite camping gun or how you handle room service when you think they may be that fake assassin coming your way. But make sure you check out gunsmagazine.com, americanhandgunner.com, americancop.com, and oh yeah, we do some special editions. Tom, do you remember anything about those?
Yeah, actually I produced them. So we do have special editions. There's a new DIY out. Look for it on either of our websites, americanhandgunner.com or gunsmagazine.com. And it's got a green cover. You'll note it clearly. Got some great stuff in there for DIY projects, builds, and restorations.
In the immortal words of Mr. Burns, excellent.
Excellent.
Well, guys, it's been another great chat about something I really enjoy talking about. We'll have to continue this offline a little bit, but you can reach either Tom or I at editor@gunsmagazine.com or americanhandgunner.com, and let us know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and ideas for future shows. So we will see you next episode. Now get out there and get shooting.